All right. So the last thing we did was we made a template. And you can see, if you look in the site files down here to the right, we've got a templates folder, which is pretty much proof that we've got a template as a rule. And here's the actual template itself, design.dwt. This is what I finished up in the last little video. So it's got the editable region and so on. And why don't we start to make some files from it? So I just wanted to bring it up here for a sec, but this does not need to be open for this step. So I'm just going to close up the template. Now, you may remember that there's a couple of ways this can go. I can either make a new file and add text into it, a new file from the template, or I can take a file which already exists as HTML and I can apply the template to it. So let me do the first one. File, New, and look over here to the left. Bunch of different choices. Page from template. Now, there's only one, but you still have to, kind of like notice this, and create. So here it is, and you'll notice that it's untitled 1, right? So this is not the template itself. This is a new page from it. Over here in the site files, I have some text files, right? Buncho text, dummy text, things like that. So I realize these are not Microsoft Word documents, which you're used to seeing, but they're so similar. It's essentially just a way to dump a bunch of text onto the page. So I'm going to drag dummy text and drop it right in here, and OK. There we go. All right, so here's the text that's appeared inside this new document. And I guess I'll just save it and move forward. So let me go save as. Now, this is kind of weird, but because that file was called dummy text, suppose I save this one as dummy. Okay, so I guess we could say this is web design for dummies. Now, let me go ahead and close this up. And you may wonder why I'm closing it up. It's better to have these documents put away when you go to update them later on. And also, I'm a big believer in cutting down on the confusion of having a lot of different things to look at. If you've got 10 or 12 documents open, you're very likely to get confused about the right thing to edit. All right, so let's make another file, new, create. And at this point, it starts to be a little bit like a very simple pattern that we'll just follow a few times. So here's another text file. This one is called Thingamabobs. Drop it in. OK. All right, so I'll save this as Thingamabobs. If English is your second language, then this word may confuse you very much. It's just a weird, silly word we call things when we can't remember what it's called. All right, I'm going to close that one up. So that's just a simple example of making a new file if you have a text file to work from. But for example, I've also got these two, right? Pretty important. I've got the index file, which already exists here, and you can see it's not really using the design. It's just something I was using to show a few very simple techniques earlier. So look, if I was going to apply the template to this, reasonably I'd probably want to trim out things that would kind of conflict with the later design. So I'm just peeling out the big header that was up at the top there. But let's see what happens to the rest of this. Now, it's worth noting that there's a link to a style sheet here with a bunch of controls on it. And what I'm going to say is that we should probably toss that. Now, style information is always in the head of the document, so I'm going to point something out as we go along here. So let me just save it with this little change I've made. So if you want to apply the template to this page, you just go Modify, Templates, Apply Template to Page. And this is a place I've actually seen people get stuck a number of times, even though it seems perhaps a little silly. You actually have to click this word, or you don't get to click the Select button. Okay? Select. Now in class, I don't know how often you've seen this, but some documents will say, essentially, what do you want to do with the stuff in the head section? And you're probably asking yourself, what's that? Well, the head section, of course, is not a visible part of the page, but it does sometimes have meaningful things in it. You know what it's got in it? It's got these styles. It's got the link to these styles. Now, we don't really need those. The template is going to take care of the styles. So watch. What I'm going to say for document head is move content to new region nowhere. You've probably never moved something nowhere before, but that, believe it or not, is the right answer for that. Now, you're not done. The more important question is, what do you want to do with the document body, which is the whole visible thing? So what I'm going to say is, move content to new region, and this is where I sometimes think it's kind of handy to give the editable region a silly name instead of, say, edit region 3, which is what it says if you don't change it. So I named the editable region Moo, so there it is. I hit OK, and bang, it's using that. Okay. Now I did lose one valuable thing in there. I lost the image positioning class that I created earlier, so I'd need to do something about that. But otherwise, the page is now following the new rule, which is more appropriate. So let me just save it and close it up. All right, I'll be back with some more on this in just a little bit.